As consumers, we are bombarded by it at every turn, like the Incredible Hulk being bombarded by gamma rays. But what makes some media endure, while others are banished to the forgotten black hole of obscurity, never to be heard from again? Who or what decides this? Hetero life mates Steve and Yahel want to know, and they want to know now. This is Obscurity Now. And what's up, Obscurians? It's time for another episode of Obscurity Now, the show that takes a look at weird and almost forgotten pieces of media. Then we decide if they should be remembered for all of human history or tossed into the black void of obscurity, never to be heard from again. My name is Steve, and with me, he's the wrestler Sting's favorite partner, even though they've never worked together. It's
Yahel, hey, how's it going, Robo friend?
It's going great. I prefer to be called a robosexual. That's how I identify these.
Okay.
Please, pronouns, pal.
I apologize, Mr. Robosexual.
But can we just touch on that AEW episode real quick? You got the reference, right?
Oh yeah.
When Sting was like
a WCW pay-per-view. Go ahead. You seem eager.
Well, no. I'm going to use that as a transition. But basically, from 2 weeks ago, when Sting was announcing that he's retiring, please bear with us as we discuss wrestling, ladies and gentlemen. And he's like, "Oh, Darby Allin was my favorite partner." Like, really, Sting? Like, you tagged with that guy for a cup of coffee, like better than Arn Anderson? What did you think about that?
Well, having read quite a few interviews that Sting has done since he's been in AEW, the guy actually genuinely loves Darby Allin.
Oh, I see.
So yeah, it wouldn't surprise me if it's his favorite because I think it's the guy he's had the most tag matches with.
I guess that could, because that's all he's pretty much done since he's gotten to AEW. Like,
right.
Yeah.
Sting has always been, before this, a singles guy. Yeah, he's had some tag matches, obviously, and stuff. But, the only regular tag team he was in was with Ultimate Warrior when they were the
Blade Runners. The Blade Runners.
I thought they were Warrior was called the Dingo Warrior.
Yeah.
Anyway, whatever. And that was like before they got to WCW. So, I'm not surprised. Like, he says that like Darby is always trying to talk him out of doing stupid stuff. Like Sting now likes to jump off balconies. Good for him.
Right. Yeah, I guess he's just like, well, I'm about to retire. When am I going to get a chance to do this again? So,
dude, he moves great, though.
Yeah, no, don't retire, Sting. Please, don't.
He's 64 years old, Steve.
Yeah.
Let this man robo-rest,
of course. Well, they could always just, put him in a robot suit if anything gets too bad. But I do want to mention one more thing about that episode.
Oh, yeah, sorry.
And that is, all right, so... they were teasing that Tony Khan had a gift for Sting, and what was that gift? A 70-year-old fully grown man in Ric Flair. And I just think, all right, I get it. It's awesome and everything. I'm glad that Ric Flair was there, but isn't it just weird that billionaires are offering up like fully grown men as gifts?
Yeah, it's a little strange. But Sting seemed genuinely moved by it.
Oh,
so,
I was moved by it, but it's just thinking about it.
Maybe I should get you a fully grown AARP Triple Diamond member for your gift.
If it's Ric Flair or Sting, I'll take it.
It will not be Ric Flair.
Oh, okay.
Sting might just do it just to be a nice guy.
Yeah, you never know. And speaking of Sting,
I bet you'd love to get a Stinger splash.
Hey, I'll never forget the time we went and watched a TNA episode, and I got to touch Sting's back. I never washed my hands since. Never.
Folks, I had forgotten about that.
Bubba gave us his blessing. We were allowed to go watch it because he controlled every aspect of our careers.
Yes. It was like being in what's it called, a conservatorship
or a cult, almost.
Anyways, I don't want us to lose everybody by talking about wrestling.
Right.
Too much,
okay.
But, I think what you were getting at is that there's a pay-per-view where Sting has somebody come and save him. Who was that special friend that saved Sting.
Well, it was his best tag team partner ever, even though, it wasn't official. But Robocop. Robocop came and broke Sting out of a cage. It was the greatest moment that ever happened in professional wrestling.
Yeah. And Sting has been put in this cage. I can't remember why, but he's like ringside. He's trying to get in to like help his partner, I think, right? His actual tag team partner.
Right. Some guy he doesn't give a shit about because Darby Allin is his favorite
Darby
partner.
Allin.
Exactly.
Yeah, even in 1992, he's like, this is Darby Allin. Anyways, oh, look, we have a spam in the chat.
Ooh.
Actually, can't really, since it's from Twitch, can't really ban.
Just offer promotion for your channel, viewers, followers,
whatever.
any competition. The quality is guaranteed. Oh, boy.
Anyway, Robocop, when he came down the aisle, he had zero pep in his step. He walked down just as slow as he does in the
first movie.
Movies. Do you know who was in the Robocop suit?
I heard Tony Schiavone say it before. It wasn't Peter Weller, obviously.
No, he didn't have those luscious lips.
Right. It was a stunt man or something like that. But I don't remember the name.
Yeah, I mean, I don't either. So I was hoping you could
okay.
For me, so yeah, if you thought that I had maybe done
no, I didn't.
Research?
I wasn't even. I was only going to briefly touch on the awesomest moment in professional wrestling. But yeah, so of course RoboCop is not obscure, but the franchise has been around for a while, and it's got some stuff that people don't exactly talk about all that much in 2023. Of course, people know about RoboCop 1, what I think is possibly a perfect film. And then there's, of course, 2 other movies after that, which vary depending on your tastes. But and then there's a TV show, which we're going to review the pilot later on this month because it's Robo-vember, everyone. I think I should have mentioned that. And Jesus, can you hear that by any chance?
No.
Okay, good.
Are you asking me or Jesus
I'm asking
Christ?
you because, of course, whenever I start podcasting, that's when someone runs a leaf blower. Anyway, let's just.
Hey, everyone has their kink, and I'm not going to shame that. Somebody's kink is blowing a leaf blower full blast while someone's recording a podcast.
That's not a kink.
I hope they have a great orgasm.
That's just trolling someone, is what that is. But anyway, yes.
No,
is that...
there's an orgasm happening right now, and you're a part of it.
I wish they would stop. But anyway, so as I was saying, it's Robo-vember in conjunction with the RoboCop Rogue City game, which I'm hearing is getting mixed reviews. You didn't happen to play it by any chance, did you?
I haven't played it yet, though. Apparently, there was a PC demo out.
Yeah, I went.
But actually,
I went looking for that demo because I thought, demos did like it did back in the 90s where they're always there, but I went on Steam and it wasn't there.
Yeah, it was like a limited, it was only available during certain dates.
Oh, that's bullshit.
It was almost like a beta testing thing because like some people complained about, I can't remember what it was, something in the demo not working right, and they actually fixed it and put the demo out again.
I mean, I've been following the production of the RoboCop game. I mean, not with like a microscope or anything, but basically I heard it was coming out, and I'm in a RoboCop group on Facebook, which I don't think they allowed me to post a link to this episode. Whatever, screw them. I mean, this game just keeps getting pushed back further and further, and then now it finally got released in November, and some people say it's great, and some people say otherwise.
Well, I know 3 people that have it that are playing it, whose opinions are, they're YouTube gamers, Steve. They're in the circle. Anyways, they all like really, really liked it a lot, actually.
Oh.
So I've heard only good things. I haven't gotten it just because I thought it was because it's not technically a AAA game. It's like a AA game. So usually those are like priced like $40-$45. I was surprised when I saw it was full price, $60. So I'm gonna wait for it to go on sale because I don't think the game is like even that long.
Mm-hmm.
Um, I'll find out here. And by the way, you were right that it was a stunt person that played
Mm-hmm.
RoboCop in WCW. But yeah, it looks like the game is about 19 hours long. So, I mean, I like games that are less than 20 hours, so that's great for me. But most people, when you're paying $60, you're expecting a 40+ hour uh,
Uh-huh.
game.
Right. But yeah.
Y- you're expecting the full Peter Weller experience, not a RoboCop stunt
Well,
man
I mean, he
experience.
is providing the voice actor or the voiceover for RoboCop in the game. It's actually Peter Weller.
No, I know it's
Mm-hmm.
Peter Weller. I'm saying that for $60, you expect the Peter Weller experience, not the $40 WCW RoboCop skin.
Yeah, I gotcha. I gotcha.
Yeah, try to keep up, please.
Whew, yeah. Well, I'm trying to pin the thing in the chat, like we were told to by.
You did
I
it.
know. I saw. I'm so proud of myself. But yeah. So all right, back to RoboCop, the franchise. Do you remember your first exposure to RoboCop, be it as a movie, cartoon? When was the first time you heard about him?
I mean, it was definitely the first movie. And I know I watched it. I just can't remember if I watched it in theaters or when it hit VHS or something like that. But yeah, I mean, I definitely watched it, back then,
Mm-hmm.
around when it came out. I loved it. I thought it was awesome.
Oh, I'm right there with you. I know I definitely didn't get to see it in the theater because I was too young. Um, Even though my dad took me to plenty of rated R movies back then, but I think RoboCop would probably be a little too sci-fi for him. But I do know that one of my friends, like back in like second or maybe even like third grade, had a dubbed VHS copy that was making the rounds back in like elementary school, and that
Mhm.
may have been the first time I saw it all the way through. But yeah, oh man, I loved it, and I mean, I'd say it made a huge impression on me. It made me a fan of science fiction, robots. Of course, back then I didn't understand the satire, but now I do, and it's just like one of those things where you can look at it from a different angle as an adult, and you're like, wow, that film is pretty genius.
Yeah.
And yeah, I watched all of the sequels. I remember I actually went. I think RoboCop 3 came out like the day after Christmas, or maybe even like Christmas night, and I had my parents drop me off so I could watch RoboCop 3. And yeah, that's the one that most people would say sucks. Did you see RoboCop 3 by any chance?
Man, I did, but I honestly can't remember a single thing
Let me
from it.
refresh your memory. Okay, there is a
Oh, good, good.
there's a robot ninja. Um, Robo
Wait, I like it so
Yeah,
far.
yeah. There, RoboCop has he can remove his hand and replace it with like 20 more guns.
Oh yeah. Okay, that sounds vaguely familiar. So he's got a Captain Hook buff
Yeah,
was given to him.
something like that. And there is a jetpack. There's a scene where RoboCop flies at the end. You remember that?
Sounds familiar, and I see why I got green lit, Steve. I was if I was a studio executive, I'd be like, I'm sold. Can I have a cameo,
Well,
please?
the big thing with that one is, of course, I guess the regular RoboCop fan base. I don't think it has like a fun name or anything. The RoboCox.
Uh, th- yeah, I was literally gonna say the RoboCop.
Us Robocox, yeah, we they weren't too thrilled with it being PG-13. I remember, I don't know, as a 13 or 14-year-old, I didn't hate it, but I didn't love it. Of course, basically everything after nothing holds up to the first movie. I mean, because like I said, I mean, I think it's basically a perfect movie, but I don't know, some stuff comes close, and as Robo-vember progresses, we will touch on that stuff. But anyway, enough about. Oh, and just very quickly, RoboCop himself was created by the writers of the original film, Edward Neumeier and Michael Miner. Apparently, they took a lot of inspiration from Judge Dredd, which I could definitely see that. The comic, obviously, not the Sylvester Stallone movie that came out afterwards. So when was the first time you had ever heard of Robocop Prime Directives?
I think it would have to be when you mentioned RoboCop Prime Directives to me. Yeah, I mean, I knew that there was a TV series that, like an American one. This is not it. This is a Canadian produced. I don't know if I'd call it a series or a set of 4 made-for-TV movies.
That's what I would call it.
It's almost like a mini series that they took a long time to air.
Yeah.
Because they. Oh, actually, no, that's not even true because they spread it out. I think when I looked at the airing order, like over 4 weeks. But yeah, it's basically it was a Canadian produced series. It's 4 90-minute made for TV RoboCop movies. And so I had never heard of this before you mentioned it, and I assumed it was going to be like the TV series, which is a little bit more
family friendly.
I don't know if I would say family friendly.
Yeah.
Well, it's RoboCop, right? It's definitely cleaned up. It's something you could presumably watch with, at least like a 12-year-old or something.
Sure. Sure.
But this ain't it. They went back surprisingly violent.
Yes.
In this
absolutely. So
did you watch this growing up?
I did, and it came out in 2001. At least in the U.S., it premiered on the Sci-Fi Channel, and somehow I had heard about it. I think I remember actually reading an article in some magazine at the grocery store while I was waiting for my mom to get done shopping or something. And I remember I watched the first and the second movie or episode, if you will. And then for whatever reason, the rest of the movies I missed. But I went back years later. I went and watched the whole thing and got to rewatch it again to discuss it with you, old chum. So shall we dive a little bit deeper into RoboCop Prime Directives: Dark Justice?
Let's do it.
Welcome to your feature presentation.
All right. So, yeah, as Yahel said, RoboCop Prime Directives. It's 4 feature-length TV movies. Each one runs about 1 hour, 35 minutes. I really don't know how they were able to get away with so much violence. I guess things were different back in 2001. I don't know.
I guess Canada maybe has different standards. Maybe it's like in the UK where after a certain hour, it's like anything goes, baby.
Yeah. Well, I'd buy that for $1.
Yeah.
But I remember. I guess you could say it was a cable edge for the U.S. and on Sci-Fi, and in the early 2000s, things were still pretty edgy, I would say. So, yeah, I mean, I guess as long as you don't have too much swearing or any nudity, that's okay for the FCC here in the USA.
I mean, it's violent. Just to be clear, it's violent, but it's not as violent as the RoboCop movies.
Right. RoboCop doesn't shoot anyone in the dick. I know everyone was excited. They wanted to see another Robo-cock shot, as they like to call it. But yeah, it doesn't happen in any of these. And it's I don't know, I'd say it's like a John Woo level of violence almost, but not too much blood, but there is blood in there. I don't know.
I would just say that there's blood and there's a lot of people that are getting shot and making themselves blow up with the bombs that they've attached to themselves.
Oh man, did you see the names of some of those guys? The character names?
No.
Oh, you've got to look it up in the cast section when we get to it. And speaking
not the names of the actors, the names of the characters.
Yeah, the lead characters who I guess I can't remember if he lives or blows himself up. The leader of, because those guys are called the Bombs. His name is Malcolm Explode.
Oh my God, I see that. Malcolm Explosion. Explosion.
Yeah.
Wow.
That's so.
Oh, there's a Johnny Nitro.
Yep. Oh, see.
Oh my God, WCW Johnny Nitro.
WCW. Yeah.
No, that's John Morrison's
Right,
original WWE name.
Yeah, he was Nitro first for WCW, then he went to WWE and changed his name. All right, anyway, how did we get
No,
back
he
on
was
wrestling?
never in WCW. WCW was already out of business. Eric Bischoff was the general manager of Raw, and brought in Johnny, who would become Johnny Nitro. He brought him in from Tough Enough, and Eric Bischoff told him his name was going to be Johnny Nitro. But at this point, WCW had already been bought by WWE. Yeah, keep up, Steve.
I didn't know. I wasn't watching back then. All right.
Yeah, I could tell. Anyways, we have Creative KV in the chat. Hello. I just want to read his chat real quick. He said, "Justice is a dish best served dark." Like Super Smoked. I like my meats burnt as hell. No fear. Hello,
Oh
friends.
man, I wish we had a No Fear shirt.
Yeah, sorry.
Oh well, next week maybe, probably not. All right. So yes, RoboCop Prime Directives premiered January 4th, 2001 in Canada, and here's a synopsis for Dark Justice. RoboCop stumbles across information uncovering an evil group of government officials that must be stopped. And I can't remember if I mentioned it or not, but Prime Directives takes place 13 years after the original movie and ignores all the sequels and the TV show, which I think is probably a pretty good choice. But we shall see. So this is directed by one Julian Grant, and he directed Relic Hunter. Do you remember that show?
Oh, I love that show. Big fan. Yeah. My dad and I used to watch it.
Well,
my dad and I never did anything together, including watching Relic Hunter. No, I don't remember that show at all.
You don't? It was with Tia Carrere, and she basically played Laura Croft, Tomb Raider. Only they didn't have the rights, so they called it something else.
This sounds familiar, but I do not really in detail recall this. Relic, if you will.
It was pretty cheesy. I mean, you could probably put it in between
really?
like Hercules and Xena, and just have a nice big cheese sandwich to watch for 3 hours.
Perfect.
But I was a big.
By the way, Creative Kiwi did bring another No Fear shirt since I didn't. I actually like this one. Don't make promises you can't break. No fear.
Nice. But aside from that, I know Julian hasn't done too much stuff. Some movie called The Cropsey Incident, which I think I have heard of, and The Defiled, which basically just seemed like kind of like mid to low budget horror movies. Not that there's anything wrong with that. And the writers of RoboCop Prime Directives include one Brad Abraham.
Oh, writers with a T.
Yes, there are two.
I was like, the writers of RoboCop. What's going on here?
You want me to get Canadian on you and give you the hard T for everything? Come on, man. We're from the South, bro.
I just thought that you were gonna tell us a story about sex on the set of RoboCop or something. Some robo-sex. Caning. You know what? Let's just move on.
Robolingus?
I was gonna say robo-caninculus, but it doesn't kind of.
You'll figure it out. I know how that disgusting brain of yours works.
I'll get it.
Yeah. All right. So Brad Abraham, he wrote a film called Fresh Meat. Some ridiculous sounding TV show called I Love Mummy, and that's Mummy as in Mummy, as in Mummy's Alive. And then something else.
Robo-copulation.
See, I knew you could do it. Yay!
I got it.
Way to go.
Yeah, I did it.
That's the end of the podcast, ladies and gentlemen. Go out on a high note. All right. And something else called the Pico Incident. And then his writing partner in this quadrilogy of films is Joseph O'Brien. He wrote something called The Devil's Mile, Brave Storm, and he also worked on Fresh Meat. So I guess they met on Fresh Meat and went on to write RoboCop Prime Directives. Mm-hmm. And the story sort of behind how Prime Directives came to be is this Canadian production company called Fireworks Entertainment. They had the TV rights, and they decided at the last minute they wanted to do something with them before they lost them, so they hired.
Apparently, their rights to RoboCop was going to be expiring in the near future.
Mm-hmm. So they got a guy, the director Julian Grant, who's known for finishing on time and under budget, and then I guess the rest is obscure history.
That's how I like my my escorts. You know what I'm saying? You know what I mean?
And robotic, of course.
Yes.
Please enlighten us. Who are some of the thespians who performed in front of the camera on Robocop Prime Directives Dark Justice?
Sure. I certainly will. By the way, Creative Caveat made a comment about how the real tragedy of the story of the Robocop is that Alex Murphy became bald.
Well, you don't like bald dudes?
Well, it's weird. It's like he had no choice. Is he bald, or do they have to constantly shave him bald?
I mean, I was under the impression that, basically.
Well, the back half of his skull is gone.
Right. Yeah. So they had to, repair his brain and hook a bunch of crap up to it anyway. So in the operation process, it just killed his ability to grow hair.
I see. Yeah. I'm glad you have a headcanon for this, Steve.
Hey, I
was
love
afraid
Robocop.
You weren't taking being a robococker seriously. As
I told you, I'm a robosexual.
Oh, robosexual. Excuse me. I thought the fans were called the Robocockers. Oh, the Robococks.
Robocockers? That sounds like
I think I like that better.
Marty Jannetty tag team after the Rockers.
He did have a failed tag team called the New Rockers.
Right, I'm familiar
with that. With Al Snow as they didn't call him Leaf Cassidy, but
That's
it was
it. Yeah.
Oh, was that what they called Leaf Cassidy?
Yeah.
Anyways, Jesus Christ, let's get into this cast. So playing fake RoboCop, we've got Paige Fletcher, not
don't
my
call
RoboCop.
him that, but anyway.
Anyways, this guy is replacing Peter Weller. I wasn't crazy about his performance at times. I hate the way he moves as RoboCop.
It's a little hard to take in. It's kind of grown on me over the years. Go ahead.
The years?
Mm-hmm. I told you.
You revisit this often?
I've seen the first episode a few times.
Is everything okay at home? What's going on?
I don't want to tip my hand to I don't want to tip my hand yet about how I feel about Robocop Prime Directives.
Yeah. Anyway, sorry. I just keep thinking of terrible RoboCop puns.
All right, so you don't like the way that Paige Fletcher moves as RoboCop. I can understand that.
Yeah. Because he moves if you ever had a small action figure that's got a button that you push to make them move, and they suddenly move their hips and waist around, and their arms go up really high. That's kind of how he walks. He's almost like he's marching.
Yeah, it's really really. That's kind of hard to take in at first. I'll also say that. I meant to look up how tall Peter Weller was when they shot the first movie.
Peter Weller was when he was doing pornography, I believe, in the 70s.
Peter Weller never did porn. Believe me, I looked.
Peeler Weller did.
Peeler Weller? What the fuck? All right, but I'll say the way this RoboCop looks, he looks small at times.
Really? Yeah, you're right. Actually, I don't know why I was about to argue with you. He definitely seems shorter. Mm-hmm. He's more compact. He's got a lower center of gravity, though, so maybe that'll help him if he, I don't know, wants to give somebody a German suplex, something with a lower center of gravity.
He straps on the jetpack and uses it as a battering ram. Yeah, that'll work to his advantage.
But anyways, this Paige Fletcher guy, he was, I guess, in a TV series from 1983 to 1997. That doesn't seem quite right.
It was a soap opera.
The Hitchhiker was a soap opera?
Oh, no. Oh, shit. I remember The Hitchhiker. Did you watch that?
I've never even heard of it. There's only 83. Well, there's 83 episodes. I don't understand how it went for 14 years.
Well, because it's basically a horror anthology series that was on USA. And he just hosted.
I just think some of these dates are wrong, actually, because they've got episode 6 taking place in 1990, episode 7 97, and then episode 9 back in 1990. I think somebody just did a little boo boo.
Get it together, IMDb. Come on.
So in the chat, Creative KV said, "I don't like where you guys are taking these fandom names." I stand with the Gator Legion. All right. Gamers. So, anyways, he's been in. What did I say? He was in Hitchhiker. He was in one of Steve's favorite series to regale ladies with when he would bring them over. Kung Fu: The Legend Continues.
That never happened.
Hey,
baby, Want to watch Kung Fu: The Legend Continues and make out?
Hey, baby, you want to watch Prime Directives?
Be surprised
it's a
how
Robocop
often
joint.
surprised how often that works.
All right, God, I'm going to get through everybody else real quick. So, anyways, he plays Alex Murphy, Robocop. Next, we have Maurice Dean Wint, who plays John Cable.
The
He's
best, most Rob Liefeld name ever.
Right. And later, he becomes, in, I guess, like the next episode, I did read that he becomes Robo-Cable.
Oh, that happens.
Anyway, so he has been in a lot of things. I was actually kind of surprised because I did recognize him right away from Cube, the first Cube movie.
Oh, I love Cube.
Yeah, and I remember when I first watched it, and it was early in his career, because that came out like in '96 or something like that. But I remember thinking this guy's like not a bad actor, but sometimes like he like overdoes it and it like really takes you out of the scene. Mm-hmm. But he's gotten a lot better even at this point. When RoboCop came around, and yeah, he's been in a bunch of stuff. He's got like over 100 credits. Most recently, he's in a TV show called Surreal Estates. He's in 15 episodes of that. Maybe it's a Canadian thing. I don't know, but he's got a good mix of Canadian and American stuff in his TV. All right, moving right along, we've got Maria Del Mar. She plays Sarah Cable, who's his ex-wife, as well as like a CEO or like an executive at OCP.
Yep.
She's been in a bunch of stuff. Nothing you know or care about. Don't worry about her.
Wow.
Moving right along,
I heard she's listening. Fuck.
Well, yeah, she's got nothing to do. Ooh. We've got Anthony. I'm just kidding. She seems very busy, actually. Good for her. We've got Anthony Lemke. I'm not really sure. He plays James Murphy, who's the son of RoboCop, or the Robo-son, if you will.
He swam out of his RoboCock.
Yes. Anyways, this guy's been in quite a few things. I do remember him from Dark Matter, which was a pretty underrated Sci-Fi Channel show. That unfortunately got canceled. Thanks a lot, Sci-Fi. But first 2 seasons are still fun, worth watching. He was not in Star Trek though, so fuck him. Then we've got Kevin Jubinville. Is that a real name? Jubinville? It's Jubinville.
That's a hilarious last name.
Maybe it's like French Canadian because Maurice is a Canadian actor. So Kevin Jubinville.
We'll ask Kevin Owens.
Plays Damien Lowe. He's like a kind of our villain, dickhead executive.
He's the Miguel Ferrer of this RoboCop.
I already closed his window on accident, so just pretend he was in nothing of importance.
Wow.
Probably just Canadian stuff, like Bret Hart appreciation parades or something. All right, we've got David Fraser playing Ed Hobley. Ed Hobley has been in... Sorry, I was like, why did I even bring this guy up? Because I don't even remember the character.
Which character is that?
Yeah, I don't know why he's listed as the main cast. I think he's just a stunt guy. Anyways, but then we also have Richard Fitzpatrick, who plays Bone Machine. Pretty cool nickname. Maybe one that you've had yourself, Steve.
Oh yeah,
been called the Bone Machine.
I always told the ladies to call me that while we were watching Prime Directives.
Yeah, call me BM.
Yeah, and I always laugh.
Like bowel movement? No. Bone Machine.
And I'm just like, let's make out.
Oh, perfect. Sorry, I'm just reading through the chat here. Every 10 seconds, that RoboCop freeze frame keeps popping up, and it completely sells a ton of what I assume to expect with the acting. The acting isn't too bad, actually. For the most part, it's all right. There's a couple people.
Commits pretty hard, but we'll see.
And then the thing that Creative Kid written that OGs, that was one of Fletcher's last roles. Never a good sign, usually for acting credits. Yikes. So I don't know if Fletcher died.
I would have told you.
That's the guy that plays.
I would have told you on IMDb
Murphy?
if he was dead.
Unless he's so unimportant.
Wow.
So it doesn't look like it was one of his last roles, though, because Robocop Prime Directives came out in 2001, and he had roles all the way up until 2002. His next role after this was his last one. Anyways, that's pretty much the cast. There were actually a few of them, and I do think Paige Fletcher might be one of them that was in Tech War. I can't remember who it was, but there's like two people that are like in a shit ton of Tech War.
I saw that. Yeah. We're
Which is
one of these
something that
days.
we have
We're
on
gonna
our
get
list.
the Tech War one of these days.
Yes, sorry, I was taking a sip of my coffee. But yeah, should we get into the meat of the show? By the way, Dark Justice. This title, Steve. This sounds like two things to me. It sounds like and they're both DC comics.
Okay.
Right. It either sounds to me like an edgy DC character that would have been in 1995.
90s, yeah, like someone who stood in for Batman, like Azrael Batman, something like that.
Okay, yes. So the other thing, funny you mentioned, because the other thing I was thinking was, or like the name of a Batman arc from the 90s.
For sure. And I think it's funny that you mentioned comics because I watched the behind-the-scenes documentary on Prime Directives, and basically the director says that they set it 13 years after so they could, distance themselves and basically kind of do what they want. And it's actually more similar in tone to the Marvel comic that we're going to be reading later on this month. And that's the words from the director himself.
Oh, wow. Okay.
I mean, you can see it though,
wait to
right?
see that.
What's that?
Yeah, I see what.
I mean, you can see like the sort of campy comic bookness like coming
Oh,
through.
yeah, for sure. Even though I guess we can go ahead and kind of get into it. In the very beginning, there's like this opening. There's like you're watching like a news show. I almost called it a montage.
Here it's called Media Net. Like back in the old show, it was Media Break.
Yeah.
But now,
and
since this is supposed to be what? I guess they're technically in 2025 or 2024, something like that. So now it's Media Net because it's got to be integrated into the internet.
Right. Well, there's no shortage of awesome computer usage,
right?
in this TV show. But anyway, so yeah, this newscast starts off, and some of the news stories most of them are like serious world building stuff. Every once in a while, there'll be like a funny one, but the ticker that they have scrolling is like almost always like saying something hilarious. And I posted a picture. If you follow us on Twitter at Reptilian Media, that's it? Is that our thing, Steve? Great. Look at me. Anyways, I had posted a picture where basically the ticker is saying at the bottom, applications are now being accepted for the executive speed urination course. Register now. And it's only up for like maybe 2 seconds, and it's so funny.
Yeah, I don't know how you caught that because I was looking for it after you posted that because I watched it only like a few nights ago, and I still couldn't find it. But I did find one other funny one. So basically, the movie kicks off with, it shows Robocop's Prime Directives like typing up on the screen. And then, as Yahel said, we get the Media Net, and they're basically discussing what's going on in Delta City, a.k.a. New Detroit, if you want to call it that. And they're basically talking about Bone Machine, how he's attacking low-income housing.
He's so hot, how good he is in bed.
Yeah, sure, I guess. And then I noticed on the ticker it says, "Order Bone Machine rubble. Click here."
Yeah, like order actual destroyed rubble that's actually been destroyed by Bone Machine, where hundreds of people have died. Because I think one of the things that comes up that they talk about is how many people he's killed in his attacks. Yeah, it's so dystopian. It's so, and it feels like so real, like something you could possibly see happening with the way corporate greed is, where they would. I mean, I'm sure that people sell, rubble from 9/11, for example.
Yeah.
But in this case, this is like a corporation, doing it. So it's extra gross.
Yeah, it's a great satire, which of course what RoboCop 1 is all about. They also talk about how RoboCop is now like older. He just turned 10, and then there's a pretty hilarious commercial for RoboCop's greatest moments, and it's just him like punching windows, throwing bad guys around, like basically everything you would want to see in a RoboCop's greatest moments video.
And I think I read that compilation came from the TV series, the American family-friendly TV series.
Yep, that's right. Yeah, and they weren't allowed to use any of the actual clips from
Film
the movie.
footage.
Yeah, but they use clips from the film that were in the TV show.
Yeah, that was their way around it because I guess like the TV. So basically, MGM wouldn't give them the rights to use the film footage, but MGM had already given the rights to the previous TV incarnation to use the film footage, and Fireworks could use footage from the previous TV series.
So a clip of a clip.
Yeah, I like that. I kind of like that. It's not dark justice; it's poetic justice.
Wow, nailed it. All right, so basically they talk about all the stuff that's going on, and then one of the anchors goes, like, "Thank you, Robo, for making Delta City the safest city on Earth." And hard cut to a massive gun battle. It's at night. It's all dark and like gray looking. Cops are being fired upon by who we now know. It's like a terrorist group called the Bombs, and they're just basically guys that have bombs strapped to their bodies. And and their leader is named Malcolm Explosion. And then there's an OCP liaison out there trying to negotiate with them. One of the important things that was mentioned in the media net was that OCP or Delta City is now like a zero fatality city, meaning that basically the cops can't fire on the bad guys. So
so the cops aren't allowed to have guns anymore.
Right.
Except for RoboCop for some reason.
And John Cable.
He shows up with guns, but he's like not supposed to have them, right?
Right, because he's so extreme. I think I love the fact that, all right, as we're gonna see, John Cable, he is Alex Murphy's ex-partner before he moved to, I guess, Detroit and got shot up by Clarence Brodiger. So we're gonna see like clips of them basically working together, and they really hammer home the fact that John Cable is sort of like a cop on the edge. He's like basically way edgier than Alex Murphy, and I just think it's hilarious.
Basically, he's wound up, like cops are. He's ready to fire at a moment's notice, which we do see later on because we get flashbacks to when. I guess these flashbacks are like from 14 years ago, I guess, where he was a partner of Alex Murphy. And yeah, there's one where like he quite unnecessarily, he being
John Cable,
thank you, murders a perpetrator, even though like the situation had already been diffused.
Well, it just leads me to believe that our writers here, let me get their names again, Abraham and O'Brien, were big readers of comics in the 90s because his name is Cable and he's super extreme. All he's missing is pouches and, shoulder pads, don't you think?
Yeah. Pretty much.
So Officer Cable basically shows up. Oh, one of the guys runs out and blows himself up. And I love it because this is prior to like digital explosions. And although there is some, digital stuff here and there, but basically they blow up like a flesh dummy or whatever. And it's so obvious. And this is like right when you saw the explosion of the guy, like what were your thoughts like at that point in regards to this?
I mean, I was pretty surprised that they had like a suicide. I mean, it's not like TV shows have never had like a suicide bomber, but the explosion happens off camera or from far away. You never really see like on TV back then, like the suicide bomber explode.
Right.
And so I was like, whoa. And then I was like, I thought this was made for TV.
Yeah.
Was what I thought.
Yeah, right. So I guess they wanted to show straight up that they were not the TV show, the American TV show, which as they're
not going to be robo condescending to the audience here.
Yeah, and I love it. Officer Cable shows up. He's got an obvious fake mustache, which when you see it at first, you're like, well, why are they making this guy wear a mustache? And it's just to differentiate between present day John Cable and the one in the past that was working with Alex Murphy, because he looks exactly the same. Like,
So yeah, it's ridiculous. Steve, you're a television star of Netflix's reality hit series,
guess.
100
humans.
Humans.
Yeah,
So you know about the TV world.
I guess.
Why didn't they just have him grow a mustache?
Maybe he didn't want to. Maybe he can't.
He can, because I've seen it. In fact, I think in Cube he has one.
Maybe at the last minute that they didn't think about it. Like, oh, like we got to make him look different from how he did in the past. Quick, someone glue some wig hair on this man's lip.
Yeah, I wonder what happened. I wonder if it was like they had to shoot the flashback scenes first, and you've got the condensed filming schedule of TV, and this guy Grant's like, I want it done quick. I don't have time for you to grow a mustache.
Yeah, no, I'd say that's exactly it.
Yeah, so that's got to be it, because otherwise, they could have made it work. Anyways, Historic Nerd is in the chat. Hello, welcome. He said mustaches are key to time travel. This isn't really about time travel, but okay.
I knew it.
Good to know either way.
Yeah, so Officer Cable shows up, and the OCP liaison, her name is Sandra, and he goes, Sandra, how'd you like to wear your asshole as a necklace? Which, I mean, I thought was pretty funny.
It's a great line. Yeah, great pickup line.
And absolutely. And then he, they basically like, oh, Cable, you can't shoot bad guys. So another guy runs out to try to blow himself up, but of course Cable is there, and he takes out his guns and shoots him before he gets a chance to do it.
By the way, no, when Cable shoots him, the guy explodes.
Oh, that's right. Yeah.
So
it's so over the top. It's so extreme. I mean, love it.
He literally just, if Cable had waited half a second more, he could have saved himself a bullet and a possible murder charge.
Well, I guess it's just to show how extreme John Cable is.
Yeah, and how little any of the other cops care, and how they aren't going to report him for having a gun or committing murder.
Hey, it's John Cable.
It's very realistic. He's
a medal-winning cop. You don't question John Cable.
He does have an award that they show us later for, what was it, Cop of the Year or something?
Yes, I mean, I don't know the right awards for cops or whatever, but yeah, one of those things. Purple Heart.
Yeah, it was like Flesh Cop of the Year.
What the fuck?
That's what they call the non-cyborg cops, flesh cops.
The flesh cops, I see.
Yeah.
Robocop then shows up, and he just basically shoots and punches his way into the whatever. I guess it's like a bank or something. I'm not exactly sure.
I don't think they ever say. It's just like a building that they've occupied. And
right.
They're gonna show you this gang's like MO is just exploding their members to like make a statement or something. The guy says something like about making a statement or something about how serious they are, but it's like, well, after this evening, there's only a third of you left in your gang.
Right.
This is not a sustainable plan of attack you've created.
Indeed. And speaking of things that are extreme and over the top, Bone Machine then shows up, and he and Robo shoots one of his guns. How would you describe the look of Bone Machine?
It's kind of cool, but also kind of cheap looking.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I love those two stupid giant guns he's got on his side. They're very reminiscent of that
Ed 209.
The stop motion killing machine that RoboCop goes up against in the movies.
Mm-hmm.
But his mask is such like a cheap looking fake bone mask.
It's like Party City or what are those Spirit Halloween store. Yeah, he's but very comic booky. And when he comes in there and he's like laughing like an Adam West Batman villain, like what were your thoughts?
I mean, I liked him. He was so like stupid and campy and over the top. I thought it was great. It felt this whole thing feels very like 80s action movie, which I think for RoboCop is the way to go. cheesy, campy 80s action. Historic Nerd asked in the chat, we did kind of cover it earlier. He was asking if they cast a RoboCop actor based on whether or not he could fit in the pre-made suit from the movie. But no, this guy is noticeably shorter than the previous RoboCop incarnation. So I would assume that they made a new suit for this. And I know that RoboCable gets his own RoboCop suit that's pretty similar. So I'm guessing they made new suits.
Yeah, yeah, and they're also very well, I think John Cable is actually a little bit taller than Alex Murphy, but I know they were in talks to get the guy from the TV show to do the lead here, but for whatever reason, they couldn't come to an agreement. So we got the hitchhiker here.
He only wanted family-friendly sitcom RoboCop.
Yeah, right. But yeah, no, I was hoping you were going to say all the things you just said about Bone Machine. Because, yeah, I remember watching this, and the first time Bone Machine shows up, I'm just like, oh, that's lame, but in a wonderful way. And I think, and as Prime Directives progresses and you kind of get used to the world, like everything, at least for me, really grows on you. But we'll see. So then we cut to, so more or less, Bone Machine gets away, RoboCop frees the hostages, there's like a shootout, and I don't think there's anything too more important that happens there. Cut to an OCP commercial, and then now we're in the boardroom, and I like the head of OCP is now a woman, and much like in the past movies, they always referred to the head of OCP as the old man. And if you look in the credits, this woman is referred to as the old woman. She doesn't even have a name. And she's basically asking, in classic sort of Mr. Burns fashion, she's like, I need new ideas. OCP is becoming a joke, blah, blah, blah. And only one guy raises his hands, and that's Mr. Juvenile, whose character name is, I don't know, Lowe. It's like Rob Lowe or something like that. I just called him Mr. Lowe in my notes, and basically he's like, hey, I got a great idea for AI. No one's ever heard of that before. And a long story short, he in a hilarious animated PowerPoint, he sells the old woman on his idea for AI, which is called SAINT, which is an acronym for something. What did you think about the animated PowerPoint presentation?
I mean, it was, it works for this, is what I would say. It comes off like a cheesy kind of evil exec president. I don't know, like it just fits the tone really well. I don't think this would work in a lot of other films or, TV productions or whatever, but for the RoboCop universe, it definitely worked for me.
Me too. So now we're back with Robo sitting in his Robo chair. This is like the lab, I guess, which used to be in the bottom of some police precinct. I think it still is here. And now he's got like a woman scientist who takes care of him. And he just it's weird. Like I would say the big difference between Peter Weller RoboCop and Paige Fletcher RoboCop is like Peter Weller's for most of the movie doesn't really emote very much, but Paige Fletcher just his RoboCop looks like he's having the absolute worst time of his Robo life. Like he's just sitting there like he just got back from Nam or something, or had a Nam flashback. I mean, and I guess as he should, because I mean it's 10 years later, he's been sitting in this room in this chair for however many years. And he just, whenever they need him, he gets up and does it. And that's been his quote unquote life. I mean, I guess it kind of makes sense. What do you think?
Yeah, I guess so. I mean, I don't know. I'm not, like I said earlier, the biggest fan of Paige Fletcher's performance here. It's okay at times, but I don't know. Like, for whatever reason, I don't buy it as much as I bought Peter Weller's performance as RoboCop.
Well, if you watch it as many times as me, it might grow on you. But yeah, I mean, Peter Weller is hard to beat. I mean, of course, he's the original, or is one as well. But let's see. Where are we going here? All right. So Mr. Lowe, we're back with the OCP, talks to his scientist friend, Edwin. And basically, Edwin, all by himself, has to create this AI. Or basically, between them talking, it's revealed that they've been working on this thing for a while. And Mr. Lowe is basically the money man or whatever. And he got them into OCP so they could sell them on this AI thing. And it's sort of the classic trope where Mr. Lowe is just like, oh, you have 10 days. And Edwin is all like, oh, that's not enough time. And he's like, well, make it work. One of those things. And,
yeah.
And he's also like...
I hate that trope.
Yeah, he's also like, you told me I wouldn't have to work in a basement anymore. And he's like, well, this is your ticket out of the basement. And they even have the next scene is basically a reenactment of the bathroom scene from Robocop 1 with Miguel Ferrer, but instead of Miguel Ferrer, we get Mr. Lowe, aka Mr. Juvenileville. And yeah, basically he tells the other dudes in the bathroom that, he's on his way to the top and they're gonna be calling him boss soon enough. I mean, really, I don't even think they even needed that scene, but I guess they just wanted to have a callback to the original movie. And I guess...
did you notice, though, while the executives were, peeing, that... So they had little screens in front of, the top of the urinals, and one of the screens said, something like, executive urination, something in progress.
Oh, no, I never noticed that. That's awesome.
It's all right, Steve. I'm here for all the robo-urine related content that you need.
I knew there was a reason why I hired you for this podcast. The check's in the mail, buddy. But I think it's here where Mr. Lowe actually meets James Murphy, who is RoboCop's son. And he's all grown up now. And basically, I guess his mom passed away. They don't really say why. And later on, he basically says he was raised by OCP and he owes them for taking care of him. And Murphy Jr. gets a cryptic text, and it turns out...
Yeah, OCP runs an orphanage. He said he was at the orphanage. I'm just like, Jesus.
Yeah, weren't you raised by no fear at one point?
Yeah, that's why I'm so toxic, to be frank, and reckless.
Big Johnson shirts raised me.
Yeah, I'm a danger, mostly to myself, but I'm dangerous.
Oh man. So yeah, basically, and then there's a lot of subplot with OCP going on all throughout Prime Directives. Are you there, buddy?
Oh, I'm here, Steve.
Okay. Are you being a danger to your RoboCock?
Yeah, I had Robo business to attend to.
I see.
Yeah.
So yeah, basically, James Murphy meets Sarah Cable, John Cable's ex-wife, and she sort of just plants the seed, which is going to turn into, basically she's trying to lead a coup, more or less. She wants her people to take over OCP and wants James to help her out, more or less.
Yeah, basically her plan is, because I guess she's the one that got the company to agree to take the guns away from the cops, the OCP cops, and have the no fatality rule where cops aren't allowed to kill, which honestly, I'm for this rule. I'm on her side, actually. Yeah, so her whole plan is that this will cause crime to increase because of the lack of, I guess, cops being able to indiscriminately murder citizens. And then that will turn public tide against OCP. And then they'll have to get a new executive board, a new leader, which will be her and her handpicked board.
She's the Kathleen Kennedy of OCP, basically.
No, because she seems to have a plan that she thought out.
I'll take it.
I actually don't think I don't get that. Anyway, let's continue. It's not like she's sitting there writing every script or something.
Are we talking about Kathleen Kennedy or Sarah Cable?
We're talking about them both.
All right, let's move on. So now we're back in the Robo room, and Robo's science nurse ponders where Bone Machine got his firepower from, and that ignites a spark in Robo's Robo brain, and he goes over the footage, analyzing the Bone Machine armor. but he could only enhance so much. So he gets up, and we see.
Yeah, they do the enhanced thing, and then it says that like, oh, you've reached the enhanced limit. I was like, oh wow, because all they did was zoom in. They didn't actually do any fake enhancing like usually.
Right.
So I was like, oh, they're treating this seriously.
Yeah.
But nope.
Well, it's only an excuse so we could see RoboCop's wrist-mounted like knife thingy, because that comes into play later. And so
yeah, it's a Chekhov's gun.
Yeah, and
but actually done right.
What is a Chekhov's gun? Is that a Star Trek thing?
You would think that, wouldn't you, Steve? No. So Chekhov's gun, we've talked about it before. You've mentioned it before, where basically like if you introduce something and
I just call it setups and payoffs.
No, you've called it Chekhov's gun. But anyways, the whole idea is like if you were to show something important that seems important, like a gun.
Have you been cheating on me on other podcasts? Are you sleeping around?
I did kind of do a Wing Commander thing with Historic Nerd the other day.
You robo slut.
Yeah, that's right. I've been robo capitulating with other Robocop. Anyway.
Oh wow. No more.
So basically, the idea is like
podcasting.
Hey, let me get this out. So the idea is if you show like a gun or a big weapon or something in Act 1, that you need to use it or have a payoff, by.
I get it. I just didn't know it was called that, or I forgot that it was called that.
I guess you're too busy in the world of Netflix TV world. Me, I'm in the film world, Steve.
I've been trying really hard to suppress that show out of my memory. Thank you for bringing it back.
You're welcome. I'm surprised that you were happy about that.
Well, I was paid very little. Anyway, so all right, so yeah, we see him jam his little knife thing into the computer, and then he sees that the armor, the bone machine armor, was basically created by OCP Security Solutions.
like he zooms in onto like a small part of it that's got like a tag, because OCP just had to put their label on,
of course,
these weapons.
That's what a corporation would do, right? I remember when like Nike put their logo on the hydrogen bomb before they dropped it on Nagasaki.
Steve, we may need to talk about the history YouTube channels you're watching. We can do it offline.
Did you know that the moon is filled with cheese, and that there's what's that? They keep saying that there's this civilization that existed.
Who's saying, Steve? Who's saying this?
TikTok.
They.
Anyway, all right. So then we get our first flashback of Robo remembering working with John Cable all the way back in the day when they were partners. They don't even have like the Ford Taurus from the movie. It's like your typical sort of cruiser, your regular police cruiser, I guess.
Yeah, like a Crown Vic or something.
Yeah, exactly. And then he finds John playing chess, and then there's all this sort of like chess innuendo.
Robocop, yeah, fine. And we should point out that at this point, John Cable doesn't know that Robocop is Alex Murphy, his old partner.
Right. That's one of the big differences between Prime Directives and like the show and the other two movies, is that everybody actually called Robocop like Murphy in the sequels, and yeah, they did away with all that. Mm-hmm. And so and then Murphy, he ends up losing to John Cable in some move. I don't know if that happens here or later on, but basically it's kind of the theme of the episode here is that, what is it? Damn it, I almost forgot. You have to do what you must, something like that. You remember?
Yeah, like that. Like they're just saying that, we did what we had to, or we did.
Yeah. God, yeah. I'm not even the high one, and I can't get it out. What's wrong here?
It's disappointing. I'll have some notes for you once.
So then there's another MediaNet report on the destruction of the Alamo, which is just hilarious.
Yeah, it's like this like other gang unrelated to the exploders or whatever they're called. This other gang who's like I can't remember what their name was, but it was something about the Alamo, like the Alamo Renegades. I don't know, something real stupid.
Yeah.
And they get a statement as to, because they were basically getting revenge for like losing at the fight of the Alamo.
Right,
They're getting revenge for the guy. I can't remember his name that lost at the Alamo. And they're like, when we asked the leader of the gang, why they're 200 years later, they're, getting revenge. And the leader's statement was, better late than never.
Yeah. It's hilarious satire, hilarious.
I cracked up. Like, honestly, I could watch 90 minutes of just the news segments.
Yeah, they're awesome. And then they also report on another bone machine massacre. And then there's a flashback. And there's a callback to the Cable says he'd buy that for $1. And you actually see another police officer sort of walk by and say hi to Alex Murphy and Cable. And surprise, spoiler alert,
kiss.
We completely forgot to mention that you could actually watch this yourself on YouTube. I watched a AI enhanced version, which looked great. I don't know how they did it, but did you watch that version that I sent you?
No, it's on Tubi. All 4 of the movies are free on Tubi.
Yeah,
so
but this version looked better than the one on Tubi.
Well, maybe if somebody had told me after I text him, hey, you can watch it free on Tubi, and then you didn't say, anything back, like, oh, by the way, there's a better looking version on YouTube.
I didn't think you
would
care.
Don't know why you wouldn't tell me.
You're too busy running around with Historic Nerd, talking about Wing Commander. Wing Commander was on our list. Our list.
We're still going to cover it, baby. It's okay. But hey, if you didn't think I would care, I don't know why you're bringing up and extolling its praises. Wait, no. Yeah, is that what I'm trying to say? You know what I'm saying. Oh, God. All right. Steve.
Let's move on here.
Are you getting some kickback from the Robocop AI
I'd love to.
Channel?
I'd love to make at least $1 off this podcast someday. But maybe in 5 more years when Robocop Prime Directives actually takes place, that's when we'll finally become profitable. But anyway.
Oh, I thought maybe in 13 years, Fireworks Entertainment was going to have the rights to the podcast and relaunch it with a shorter host.
Well, no, we would be the new Robocop partners, and you would get to be Yahel, Robo-Cable, basically.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. But anyway, man.
the Robo-Requa, if you will.
I wasn't gonna say anything. I figured I would just let you.
Oh my God, Boricua. That's what I said. Robo-Requa. There we go. That's the. I'll be the Hispanic, the Hispanic cop Latin sensation.
Yeah,
Steve.
we get it. We get it. You're gonna be Delta City's top Latin cop.
That's right. I'll be the most corrupt cop in Mexico coming.
All right. So anyway, spoiler alert, the extra cop that's hanging around with Murphy and Cable ends up being Bone Storm. There you go. Bone Storm, Bone Machine, God. Bone Machine. So there you go. There's your Chekhov's gun.
Bone Storm's what he's going to give you if you play your cards right, you know what I mean?
More like, you mean a bone job?
Sure.
You got boned, baby. All right, so Cable and Murphy talk about Cable's divorce as they drive their police cruiser, and then they investigate a barking dog at a house. They think, oh, this is going to be nothing, no big deal. Then they just go ahead and they realize that the dog is chewing on human remains. They break in and discover...
Now, they don't show this.
No, yeah, that's true.
Despite it being pretty violent. There's like a cop car blocking, and we only see Cable and what's-his-face talking about it from like the stomach up.
Right. So then they decide to go ahead and, Cable pretty much decides to go ahead and break in, not wait for backup, because, he's so extreme, a cop on the edge. And as they're going through the basement, they uncover more human remains, and they open up a cooler, and a woman pops up. I mean, and that is almost like scene for scene straight out of the original Texas Chainsaw Massacre. Did you get those vibes?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, you did?
Yeah,
I
did.
Good.
Yeah.
So then Cable gets taken hostage, and it's your classic sort of cop trope. He tells him to take the shot. Of course, they're trying to hammer...
He's telling Alex Murphy to take the shot, not the guy that has him.
Yeah, that would be... Kill me, please. I'm too extreme to live. Which actually kind of happens at the end of the movie, but we'll get to that. So yeah, he tells Murphy to put down the gun, and since they're trying to establish that Cable is the extreme guy, and Murphy more plays it straight. Murphy puts down his gun, but Cable escapes anyway by knocking the gun away, something like that, and
Yeah, it's so weird because he's like puts down the gun and he goes like, "Oh, I'm sorry." He says Murphy says, "I'm sorry" to Cable, and Cable says, "Me too."
Yeah.
And then the bad guy's like, "Ah, you're an idiot. I'm gonna go ahead and shoot your partner." And as he's like pulling the gun up, like that's when he Cable knocks out of his hand.
Yeah,
so,
and then basically he incapacitates the guy without killing him, but that's not enough for John Cable because he is from the extreme Youngblood universe, and he turns around and basically shoots the cannibal. And
this guy basically had was no threat at this point because he took away his gun, and then Murphy and Cable have a conversation. They talk for like almost a minute before Cable turns around and shoots the guy like 4 or 5 times.
Yep. And so now cut to James Murphy, and he's getting more cryptic. I don't know if they're supposed to be emails or I put texts. He gets a cryptic email from Sarah Murphy, and they walk down some stairs with really cool lasers. But she uses.
It's weird because like the OCP OS, because we see the few different computer screens. It's like the little mail section looks just like the direct message section. Like every section looks almost exactly like each other.
Oh, the hilarious fake like computer prompts are just great. I love it.
Yeah.
So they walk through basically the OCP archive, and Sarah's like, this is where OCP hides their failures or something. She gives James a big pep talk, like how we mentioned earlier, that she wants her people to basically take over OCP because the old lady, she ain't cutting it anymore. And then all the members of her team just sort of materialize out of the shadows, and she's basically like, are you in or out? And he's in. So now John Cable, he finds out that the bone machine weapons came from OCP Security Concepts, which is what...
Yeah, like Robocop tells him. He's like, here you go.
But let's see. But it's shut out. Oh, yeah. Oh, actually, he's sort of investigating it himself, but he gets shut out of the OCP computer, which then prompts him later to...
By his ex-wife, right? Oh, no.
And then...
he doesn't have access. Later, he tries to get his wife to give him the sweet access.
Yeah, and then James Murphy is in there chatting with John Cable, and it's to show that...
This is the Robo-son of Robocop.
Yeah, exactly. And they're talking, and then Robocop shows up, and it's all awkward, and James completely ignores him. And they're saying that he also doesn't know that Robocop is his dad, right?
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah,
I think it's implied. I don't know if they actually come out and say it.
Right.
But you're the Prime Directives expert. I mean,
hey,
you're the one that's seen this several times.
I'm testing you.
Well, I'm just saying, you never noticed the urination stuff before.
Well, I know that's the stuff that you focus on. That's why you're here.
Well, Steve.
Where's this going? So anyway, it's really awkward, and then James just leaves, and Robo, he looks that is I would say that's Paige Fletcher's problem, is that his Robocop always looks disturbed and sad. Like I said, he just came from doing a stint in Vietnam or Afghanistan or something like that.
Yeah.
So Cable visits his ex-wife in his at her OCP office to try to find out more about the bone machine armor. And they basically just sort of have a little witty repartee that doesn't really... it appears to not amount to much, but then basically she realizes that John Cable is a threat. And then James Murphy and Sarah talk about John Cable, and basically... that's when she tells him that he's a threat. And now we're back with Mr. Lowe and Edwin, and they're scheming in the basement lab. And really the only sort of important thing about this little conversation that they have is that I love the idea that, Edwin, he's the scientist guy, the tech guy. Him working hard on this AI is just picking up a motherboard, looking at it, putting it back down, and picking it up again. Like, that was computer work back then.
Yeah, you've never worked in the field, Steve. You don't know, about how to make this AI stuff. It's okay. It's robo complicated for you.
I'll have you know, I built the very computer that we're podcasting with right now, and I only inserted the motherboard once. I didn't have to do it several times.
Well, had you done it a few more times, then maybe it'd be a little bit more powerful.
Wow, you're a robo bastard. You know that?
Well, I think you robo compromised on your PC build.
Oh yeah, well, robo blow yourself.
So I don't think I have the flexibility for that. But
well, hey, with OCP and security solutions, you can have that flexibility. All right, moving on. So, a man is the Robo's security science nurse or whatever. She shows up to the Robo room and she sees a guy like leaving. He's dressed in, I guess, what's supposed to be like technician garb. It's like, oh, I just went in there and fumbled around with Robo's motherboard a couple of times. Nothing happened, I promise. So she goes in, and Robocop was sleeping and having like a weird Vietnam flashback or something. And scientist nurse asks him if he's okay. Who was that guy in there? And Robocop is like, oh, he does a security scan. It's not a security scan. What's the proper like computer term for? He checks all of his.
He does like a diagnostic.
Yeah, that's it. Yeah, he does a diagnostic, and he's like, oh, everything seems fine, except there's a new prime directive. And what is that prime directive?
That you can't interfere with a pre-warp civilization. No?
That's Star Trek shit, isn't it?
Yeah, no, literally the number one rule in Star Trek is called the prime directive.
Yeah, I remember. But no, the prime directive is to kill John Cable. So Robo is on his way to do just that, and he gets a call conveniently from John to meet him at the bunker where he thinks the bone machine armor may be stored. And he shows up, and Robo shows up, and how would you describe this? Or actually, no, John Cable shows up. How would you describe this bunker?
Is this the one where it's kind of like the giant warehouse thing?
It is a prison. They basically repurposed.
Oh, that's right.
A prison set.
Yes, it's just a prison. Yeah. And there's no attempt to hide it either.
No.
Like you see all the cells. In fact, he opens cell 19.
Yep.
Yep. So.
And I guess
weird.
we as the viewer are supposed to be like, oh, well, OCP just repurposed a prison, or you can call a spade and be like, well, they really needed to save a couple bucks and repurposed a prison set.
I like to think that Canada just had an empty prison lying around because they're so nice that they just have no one to put in their prisons.
All right, I choose to believe that as well. So basically, John investigates the Bone Storm armor is not in there, but he sees that it was last checked out by his wife, Sarah, and I'd love to see the scene of her like trying to carry the armor out like, by herself. Like that'd be pretty funny. So then Robo shows up, and he's just basically like, in classic Robocop fashion, like I don't think he says I need to kill you, but he's aiming his gun and everything, and
well, he tries to arrest him. He says like he's under arrest,
mm-hmm.
but he's which was very confusing. I wasn't a big fan of this because like Robocop keeps telling him that he's under arrest and that he's going to arrest him, but also his prime directive is to kill him.
Right.
So
right.
Yeah, a little bit of a disconnect.
A little bit, but John Cable realizes what's going on. He like runs away. He gets shot in the foot. There was where was the?
Like you get shot like in the calf.
Yeah, somewhere. It's in the leg area.
Yeah, because then he can't. Like,
And
he has trouble walking.
yeah,
Same
and
time.
basically, RoboCop is about to, put him down for good, but John does the old Murphy, I'm talking to you. I'm talking to the man
Yeah,
inside.
yeah, like earlier at some point, he had said something like, it's that's you, isn't it, Murphy?" to RoboCop or
Yeah,
something. So
he figures it
he
out.
he 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 figured it out when he realized, oh, this guy has the exact same face as Alex Murphy. He is the exact same height as well.
Kind of sounds like him, except for he has like a weird synthesizer thing on his
Yeah,
voice.
yeah, but he's got that Murphy strut
Yeah.
every time he walks. You know, the one, like the Vince McMahon like one
He
where
does walk
he
like Vince McMahon.
he
Ugh.
snaps his folded arms so high up into the air. Every stride puts him in greater danger of a torn rotator cuff.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know why they allowed that walk to happen, but
I'll tell you why he did it. Grant, the director, is like, "Oh, this isn't good, but trying to get out of here a little early today, so we're gonna say that's a cut."
we gotta go catch the kids in the hole, eh? And then catch a Leafs game, eh? He doesn't
Yeah,
sound
that's what they do. Then they drink some Labatt Blue.
Yeah. Oh, then we gotta go pay homage to Owen Hart at his grave, eh? Or is that too dark? I don't know.
No, this is Dark Justice, dude.
Oh, well played. All right. So anyway, long story short, so you get the class.
Did you say
RoboCop.
long story short?
Long story
can't.
already too long. Basically, RoboCop confuses himself, and he's left like jerking around like this.
Yeah. It's that trope of like, oh, you told the sentient machine some memory, and now it's like conflicted.
And so that allows John to get away.
Yeah, RoboCop's nose starts bleeding at one point.
Did it? Are you sure?
Yeah. Yes, when he
Okay.
started like, his nose started bleeding a little bit, and he, we should say that he also tells Cable to run.
Yes, he does. And then there was another flashback to John Cable receiving his aforementioned medal. And basically, this is what leads to Murphy requesting his transfer and then inevitable death by Clarence Brodiger. But, they don't show that. And now we get another media net, and it says they're saying that Bone Machine is John Cable. We find out later that Sarah Cable basically leaked it, and she's basically setting him up so he can be killed, and so she can get away with it. John Lowe writes
Ex-wives, am I right, guys?
it sounds like what was that last No Fear shirt about? I don't know, being afraid of your wife or something. I don't even remember.
That's all it said. It said, "I'm afraid of my wife. No fear."
Yeah, it had something to do with like golf. Like if she doesn't cook
Oh.
and bring you your golf clubs, like she's not worth it. No fear, something like that.
I'll find it and send it to you because it was something like, "Oh, if she doesn't give you permission, that's okay." No fear.
Yeah, something like that. So yeah, then basically Sarah shows up, or John Lowe is writing a memo from Sarah Cable's desk, and they basically have sort of a witty repartee, and John Lowe figures out that Sarah was the one who is leaked the zero fatality policy on the cops to make the CEO heads look bad so she could take over, and he basically blackmails her with footage from her previous meeting with John Cable. So, yeah, and it basically just ends with him leaving. And now we get yet another flashback, and Alex transfers away from, Alex Murphy transfers away from John, and then Robo returns, and now we're back in the present. Robo returns to his old precinct where he and John were partners. He wanders the halls searching for John. Why did John hide there? Did they even come up with a reason?
I don't remember.
Anyway,
they did.
he finds him. John tells him to shoot him. He says, "I want to be shot by the man, not by the robot." But then Bone Machine shows up. And, I guess I forgot to mention that there was a scene where Sarah meets with Bone Machine. Basically just the regular guy. He's not wearing his like armor and stuff, and it's that cop.
Yeah, and he just looks like a middle-aged, chubby accountant.
Right. Or a guy who probably watches too many conspiracy
Yeah.
videos, something like that. And basically he says, "Oh, you told me that I was going to be Delta City's top cop." And she's like, "Oh, you will. You know, you just have to take out John Cable and Robocop. Here's where they're going to be." And he's
top flesh cop.
Yeah, exactly.
Just to be clear.
So yeah, while Murphy and John are talking at the old precinct, there's also a shootout between the two, and basically Robocop is about to put him down, and then Bone Machine shows up, and they have another big shootout. And I don't want to talk light about the action in this because it is pretty awesome, especially for a TV movie.
Yeah, like Bone Machine comes in by like busting through a wall, like Kool-Aid Man style, but violent and cooler.
And laughing like
Explosion.
a Batman villain from Adam West.
Yeah.
And so they shoot him up. He ends up shooting John Cable and is about to take him out. And he says, "Your bones, baby." They never. What I love is like they could have said that like, oh, the because they say the Bone Machine armor is bio booster armor or something like that. They could say that like hooking up to it makes you crazy, but they never even bother to say it. They're just like, eh.
Dude, I was just gonna say, because when we see him talking to Sarah Cable and he's not dressed up as Bone Machine, he talks like a normal guy.
Yeah.
Like he's not all like, I'm wacky.
Right. I mean, again, I guess as the audience, we could, make our own little headcanon, or you could just say, well, he's just really hamming it up because his name is Bone Machine, and he should be.
I guess he just lives with fear every day, but on the weekends she lets him Bone Machine.
Wow. Bone.
I found the No Fear shirt, by the way. It said, "I live with fear every day. On the weekends, she lets me golf."
No fear. Awesome. So, all right, we're almost done here, ladies and gentlemen. All right, so just like in the past flashbacks, John gets taken hostage again by Bone Machine. And this time, and once again, he's encouraged to take the shot by John. But this time, John is just basically telling him, "Go ahead and kill me. Go ahead and shoot me." And that's what Robocop does. Robocop shoots his good friend, and then Bone Machine...
Well, and we should, for those that maybe don't get it, not that it's hard to get, but if you're not watching the movie, maybe... anyways, so the reason why John Watt tells Robocop to shoot him is because he knows that Robocop basically has to get rid of that Prime Directive before he can properly, go after Bone Machine.
Mm-hmm.
So Cable's basically saying, "Kill me so that you can stop this guy."
Yes, absolutely. And it works because John Cable is so extreme. he would sacrifice himself so Robocop can, finish his Prime Directive.
And Robocop shoots him like just about. I guess he doesn't hit him in the heart because he doesn't like die right away. But he shoots him just about where the heart would be.
Yep,
pretty close.
Yep. I know you're a big gun guy. You would pay attention to something like that.
Yeah. I'm an expert in Canadian anatomy.
Don't they have like several hearts?
Yeah.
But
you got to get past the one shaped like a maple leaf and the other one shaped past the hockey puck to get to the real one.
And you have to get past the sack that carries syrup. It's like,
Yes, that's called the Gretzky sack because it's like it's like, a defender.
Right. Absolutely. Boy, this has got weird. So Bone Machine then realizes that he was a cop from back in the day after like Robocop knocks him on the ground. But Robo does not spare Bone Machine. He gives him the Clarence Brodiger treatment. Knife comes out of the hand and bam, Robocop goes to town on him.
Stabs him over and over and over.
Yeah, they don't show it, but there's like blood pouring from off screen.
Yeah, they don't show the
impact
Robocop knife or whatever you want to call it, like going into the guy's
flesh.
chest.
Yeah.
but you do see RoboCop's like fist continue coming down, and yeah, like Steve was saying, blood comes out, and you can see RoboCop's hand and knife thing is getting more and more covered in blood. So even though we don't see the stabbing per se, like it's still very visceral. The way
Yes,
that they
and
shot it.
you got a bit of blood on the RoboCop
Oh
helmet.
yeah, on RoboCop's helmet, yeah.
Yeah, and then
RoboCop
that's like
drinks some of it. He
yeah.
like licks the blood off his blade. Remember that?
You've been hanging out at the castle way too much, buddy.
You don't remember that part? Oh, okay.
That was in your head canon. You. All right, and yeah, and then that's basically John dies. They have like a moment, and then we get another media.
Yeah,
net.
RoboCop says to him like we did. Cable says something to RoboCop. I can't remember what. Probably something about his mustache. And then RoboCop says we did what we had to.
Had to do the theme of like episode 1, which I mean was pretty awesome, if I dare say. So Sarah gives, so we're in the media net, and Sarah gives your typical corporate phony interview, saying, her ex-husband, blah, 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 dead, bad guy, whatever. And now Robo sits back in his chair looking.
No. They say that her husband, it turns out that he was not. That Cable, the news says that Cable was not actually Bone Machine, but that he was part of a plot, basically to lure Bone Machine out, and like that's why they had leaked out that Cable was Bone Machine. It was a way to like draw out Bone Machine to fight him, and then for them to capture him. That doesn't really make any sense, but they do clear John Cable's name,
right?
Presumably because they're going to turn him into Robo-Cable.
Right, exactly. So yeah, RoboCop is sitting in his chair. And he's crying, which, I mean, as a RoboCop fan, I don't really need to see RoboCop cry, but, I mean, what can you do? Paige Fletcher is a, I don't know, soap opera actor, I guess. I mean, I think it's okay. I don't know. What do you think? Did you want to see RoboCop cry?
I mean, I don't really mind that they did it. It could have been more subtle, but like maybe just have his eyes well up,
right?
Kind of a thing.
But he's already making that face through 75% of the movie.
Well, the thing is, like, yeah, like I've already said, I'm not like a huge fan of Paige's performance, but from a story standpoint, I don't mind it because this is 13 years since the first RoboCop movie. So, he's older. Yeah, he's still robotic, but even it's not like he didn't have some emotions and some piece of his humanity in the first few films. So to me, it makes sense that in 13 years, maybe he's a little bit more in touch with his humanity than he used to be. So I'm okay with the cry.
I agree.
Yeah, you better.
Okay, I don't. All right, cut to Sarah Cable and some doctors are looking down, like into camera, as if they're looking over something. It's that sort of POV was used a lot in the original RoboCop movie, and then they pan over to a new RoboCop helmet, like sitting on a surgical table or whatever, and then that's the end, and it says like RoboCop will return in like meltdown or whatever. So when you saw that helmet, did you pop? Like, what were your thoughts?
No, I didn't pop.
I popped.
Oh, excuse me. But I thought it was pretty cool ending. I mean, should we rate it first or?
Oh yeah, sure. Well, I'll roll the beautiful bean footage.
Remember before I rated that is the question.
All right, Bone Yahel. Do you think that RoboCop Prime Directives Dark Justice should be remembered for all of human history, or tossed into the black robo void of obscurity, never to be heard from again?
Before I give my answer, Smoke Monsters in the chat just wanted to say hello. He asked if RoboCop was huge in Canada or something, and I do think RoboCop was one of those movies that it was pretty popular in Canada as well, from what I vaguely recall.
I mean, RoboCop is huge everywhere. There's like weird Japanese commercials with RoboCop in it. I mean, I don't know. I'd say he's almost as well known as like a Batman or something like that. It's just that this was a Canadian production, so that allows us to make plenty of Canadian jokes.
Yeah. Yeah, and if you can't Robocope with that, his popularity, I'm sorry, I don't know what to say to you. But in terms of whether I think it should be remembered or not, I would say, yeah, it should be remembered. Is it perfect? No. I think the fact that it leans into the camp and satire pretty heavily really helps what is. I don't know if I'd say it's a weak script, but it's not the strongest script. Like some of the dialogue is a little clunky here and there, and there's a couple parts that I felt kind of drag a little bit. Like maybe it's more the pacing. Like I don't think they paced out the flashbacks very well. Like it's like the movie's bumping along, moving along, moving along, moving along, and then suddenly you get like a flashback that maybe is slower paced. So those would be my really only big complaints, but it's only 90 minutes, so it goes by pretty fast, all things considered. But yeah, I am surprised that I'm giving it a remember this because I thought it was going to be like the TV series, the American one.
I thought you'd like this, so I'm glad to hear that positive review. I think it's a pretty strong script, which I think that's why I like it so much. Because yes, the Paige Fletcher RoboCop is kind of hard to take in. It's almost like the Canadian band Rush. It's like the music is great, but it's hard to get past Geddy Lee's singing.
Yes, thank you.
But
his voice is. He's a great singer, but his voice, the tone of it is rather grating.
Yeah, and and when I first started listening to Rush, that was my kind of like my problem. I was like, man, this music is awesome, like awesome bass playing, but like, God, that singing is so high. But anyway, I got used to it, kind of like how I got used to Paige Fletcher as RoboCop, and yeah, I think at least the plot of the script is very strong, and there might be some pacing issues here and there. And yeah, obviously they had a pretty small budget, which I don't know, I think works in their favor in some ways. Just
I agree.
Because it's very campy or pulpy, I would say. And this resembles the Marvel comic that we are going to be checking out later this month. And my question to you, though, is do you think you're going to watch any of the other Prime Directives episodes?
I don't know. I might, but I'll be honest, if I do, it'll probably be kind of on in the background while I'm doing something else, and I'll still be paying attention to it, but
cleaning
but you know what?
Casket.
I mean, yeah, this isn't like something that you need to like pay 100% attention to anyways. The story's pretty easy to follow. And when I said like the script isn't that strong, I mean like I think the story is strong. I just think the dialogue at times is a little like hokey here and there.
Sure.
But it's early 2000s, TV made for TV movies, so it's not going to be quite perfect. But in other times, like the dialogue is surprisingly like acerbic and sharp, like a movie. Like when that guy says uncensored, to that woman, do you want to wear your asshole as a necklace? Like, whoa.
So yeah, I think it's better than it had any right to be, and the action scenes are awesome, even if you don't really care for some of the boring sort of OCP backstory. I mean, I find it kind of intriguing, but
so is there more backstory in this first one than the other three? Do you remember? Because you've seen them all.
I mean, it gets pretty crazy. Like, obviously, Robo-Cable shows up, and of course, they're going to fight each other at first, and then, spoiler alerts, they're going to team up. And then at one point, they, like, team up with these, I don't know.
They're going to Robocopulate. Yes.
They don't have a robo-sexual relationship, Yahel. They're
just
friends.
Robo-cohabitate.
They're robo-friends, okay?
Okay.
But it gets pretty crazy. They go to like old Detroit, and RoboCop teams up with these like cyberpunk terrorists or something. It's almost gets to like levels of if there was ever a RoboCop 2099, like this would be it.
Okay, that actually sounds okay. I might watch the
because
ones now.
I think it ends, and I mean with RoboCop having to fight that AI in some way or another, and also James Murphy ends up playing a big role in like the third or fourth movie. But yeah, it gets pretty crazy. I highly recommend, if you like RoboCop, I think you should watch the whole thing. And that goes to everyone listening and watching.
Okay,
at
I
the
think
moment.
I think you sold me. Although you also think surf Nazis
Oh
ninjas must die
God,
is a great
man,
film.
you're
So
so antagonistic today. Jesus, what?
I'm not antagonist. Whoa, I'm very chill. I'm very zen. I'm robocopacetic,
You're
if
a
you will.
robo bastard, is what you are. But yeah, I mean, I think you could conceivably you could watch RoboCop 1 and then skip probably everything else and then watch this and be pretty satisfied, I think, because
So funny you mentioned that because in the chat, Smoke Monster had asked, "How does it compare? Dark RoboCop Prime Directives compare to RoboCop 2 and 3?" And I told him, "Well, I think it's better than RoboCop 2 and 3. What do you think?"
oh, I agree 100%. I mean, RoboCop 2 is definitely watchable, but it's really more of the same as RoboCop 1, only but not as good. And of course, everyone pretty much hates RoboCop 3 because it was PG-13. I mean, I think the story is more in depth here, and it's more, and at the same time, more over the top than those other movies because they throw in all that other. I mean, there's you get Robo Cable. There's the big fight against AI at the end. It's more cyberpunk and more like Marvel
Yeah.
2099 than the other stuff.
Yeah.
So
And I do like that we get so much OCP backstory,
mhm.
and I like that one thing that they do well is they show you more than they tell you in a lot of ways. Like when we find out that OCP has an orphanage from what's his face
James Murphy.
James Murphy, thank you. You know, like I mean, yeah, literally James Murphy is saying it like in a bit of exposition,
Mhm.
but you know, it's a scene that's supposed to be about his backstory, but really he's giving you backstory about OCP and the world that you live in, and it's a really natural way to do it. So they do that a few times with like posters in the background in the subway. So yeah, they do that stuff really well. Smoke Monster said that we need a robo marriage counselor, a marriage robo counselor. Now we're fine. We're
Yeah,
fine.
yeah, yeah.
Uh,
You mind your own
but
business. Mind your own robo
but yeah.
business.
But anyways, yeah, I liked this definitely a lot more than I thought I would, and I think this shows you because I would say if this was like a movie that was released in theaters, it would be PG-13,
Mhm.
like RoboCop 3. But I think because they don't have the budget to make these big stupid set pieces and like, oh, we're gonna add this accessory to RoboCop, he's gonna have a power glove now or whatever. uh, so they had to like make the story and acting and tone more interesting
Yeah.
because I'm sure the budget and so yeah, like you said earlier, it really works to their favor. So yeah, I say remember.
Oh, by the way, Robo Cable, he's got two guns that come out of his legs. Two guns. All right,
Oh.
remembered.
In accordance to Obscurity Now, the most important streaming YouTube podcast in all of the internet, you shall be remembered. Yes. Good show. Good show.
All right. Well, hopefully, if people who are listening or on the fence about checking out RoboCop Prime Directives, we change their mind. But hey, let us know down in the comments what you think about RoboCop Prime Directives Dark Justice.
Yeah.
Wow. I literally almost thought you were frozen there for a second. I thought this was like the first year and a half of this show where the computer, yes, the one that I built, kept screwing up every time. But luckily, those days are long behind us. Nothing but clear
Yeah.
sky, clear robo skies ahead, eh, buddy?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, if you're looking for something to watch with your family this Thanksgiving holiday, why don't you put down? I don't even know what people watch on Thanksgiving, but
Put down your
down that.
copies of Thanksgiving 3.
Yeah, and watch some RoboCop Prime Directives here on YouTube or on Tubi.
Do you think you're gonna watch the Thanksgiving horror movie in the movie theater? Have you seen that trailer yet? Are you gonna watch that?
No, I don't think I'm gonna watch it.
I mean, are
It
you?
looks not good.
Well, it's weird because it was originally like a joke trailer that premiered in Grindhouse. Remember Grindhouse?
Yeah, I remember. I didn't watch the.
You never watched Grindhouse?
No.
Why are we even friends?
Well, I'm very sorry.
Yeah, you should be.
You want to know because I didn't watch it because it's a Quentin Tarantino movie.
Oh well,
and
Robert Rodriguez. He did the first. It's 2 movies. The first one is a Robert Rodriguez movie, and the second one is Quentin Tarantino's worst movie, Death Proof. But hey, the fake movie trailers in there are pretty funny, pretty fun.
Well, maybe I'll look for the clip of the fake trailers.
Yeah, but this movie doesn't even look as extreme as that fake trailer was. But anyway, before we sign off here, there's a couple of things going on in the reptilian media universe, or obscuriverse, as I like to call it sometimes. And that is, of course, hopefully you've seen the advertisement here on the Obscuritron. I'm a week deep in the Kickstarter for Escape to Earth issue 3. Please help us continue the insane dinosaur action. There will be a link in the description. Why, even Yahel here has already contributed to it. So you should do like him and contribute to Escape to Earth. And also,
yes,
that's a glowing recommendation right there. Also,
I will put a link to the Kickstarter in the chat.
Oh, thank you. Also, my audio drama podcast, Ray Can't Sleep, is now on YouTube. So I know there's some people who are like, oh, I don't do podcasts, but I'll listen to them on YouTube. So this is for you, everyone. So all 10 episodes are up there just on the regular Reptilian Media YouTube channel. So check it out if you like a dash of paranormal and comedy combined into one. It would have been perfect to listen to on Halloween. Anything else before we sign off here, old Robo Chum?
No. I think we Robo covered everything.
I think so too. All right. Well, we will see you next Sunday as we will be covering yet another obscure Robo piece of media, only here and maybe some other podcasts on Obscurity Now. We will see you next week.
You've been enjoying Obscurity Now, a podcast that's recorded live to tape and streamed to Twitch and YouTube. Subscribe so you never miss an episode or hilarious quip. Take us with you by following the download links provided in the show notes to wherever you get podcasts. And take notice of our various social media links, if that's what you're into. I'm not here to judge. And make sure you join us live next week at 6 p.m. Eastern, 3 p.m. Pacific as we continue to discuss more obscure media only on Obscurity Now.